All right, let's go back to the web here. And I want to talk about blogs for just one more moment. So if I go to iragardner.com, I'm using a content management system that if I log into, I'm using a content management system called Zenfolio. The blog is inside the content management system, as opposed to if I go to a blogging site. Blogger.com is the easiest blog to get started with. You have to have a Gmail account. Okay, I've got a few of them. I've done it. So you just hit new blog and you just give it a title. And I just put Ira Gardner Photography. Blogger.com, right?
Or WordPress.
Well, I'm going to do both. So I'm just going to do one real quick. Ira Gardner Photography.blogspot.com. Right? Now that's a little long, right? So maybe I'll just do Ira Gardner Photo. Make it shorter. And that'll tell me if that name is available. And I can just start. Dynamic view is probably the basic one that is the easiest to work with. Gives your audience a little bit of a choice. Okay. I don't need a domain name. Takes me to this overview. All I do is I go make a new post. Okay. Now what I tend to do when I'm blogging is I post the photos first and then type the text. Okay. So what I will do is I will click on, it's just like working in a word processor, insert image and choose files. And now I will go to where I've created some web-sized images, and I'll just say, here's a couple images that I took last winter in Banff.
Where?
Banff, Canada.
Banff?
Yeah. It's a World Heritage Site up in the Canadian Rockies. So now I can select both images to have them insert at the same time. Add selected. Okay. And then I have to decide whether or not, it's just like a word processor. Right now they're centered, and I can change that to left align. I'm going to leave it center align. And now I have to decide, I'll just do some paragraph, if I want to put a caption or not. If I'm doing a caption, I will go ahead and set it to a small size and just put low clouds and sunlight create beautiful light in the forest along the way up north to Banff, Canada. Okay? Now, I'm doing this in a live thing, so I'm not really giving a whole lot of thought, but I can make it small in italic, and then I can come in and start a story, right? And for me, I would say I have been traveling to Banff, Canada since 1989. And I would just go ahead and start typing, right? And I again would process this to make visual sense, so I would not go with italic on this. And I'm going to give it a post title and just say images from Banff. Okay. Now I could write a story. What would I do in a story? Well, I could describe the step-by-step of going to Banff, or I could make it a memoir and say, first time I went to Banff was in 1989. I was part of a mountain climbing school, and this was the graduation climb. And I could tell that story. And I could even post that image. I have an image from that, which again would explain why I'm the explorer archetype, right? So I could write that story through either simple description. The easiest way to write a story is to describe it in detail, and that's where if you can use your photographic memory in terms of what did things look like, what did they smell like, what did they taste like, what did they sound like, I could create a story about the first trip to Banff and what it was like to be in a van full of young, enthusiastic mountaineers with leather boots and the smell of leather and the touch of cold ice axes, the metal, and I could do all that. Or I could talk about the photography and talk about this image here. Doesn't really matter. Generally a story is going to be a description, heavy in description, and then end with a pause for reflection of why the image or the trip was meaningful, right? Why is this meaningful to you? So we want to emphasize description and then reflection, whereas most people start immediately going, I had this amazing trip to Banff. Well, prove it to me. What was amazing about it? You have to save the judgment statement or the evaluation statement for the end of the story. Okay, and we'll spend more time storytelling. I actually have a whole module. If you go into Canvas and you go into modules, there's a whole link about stories, some example stories, and spend some time there. And then down here in storytelling, perhaps the best storyteller of the modern era online is Ira Glass with his radio show This American Life. And he's got a series of videos about storytelling that I've provided for you. Believe it or not, storytelling is a really important part of our career. Okay, so going back to the blogger, I'll just leave this for now. I can preview this, so I can hit preview and it'll open it up in a different screen. And you'll see what the blog looks like. I can see what it would look like in magazine mode, okay? And we can just go ahead and publish it, all right? So I'm going to do a second publish post real quick. I'll do a new post. I can go back and edit it, by the way. I'll do a new post, and I'm going to go back and reinsert another set of images. And here's some images that I shot at home one day. I was kind of inspired. And there's this expression, namaste, which means the light in me honors the light in you. And so I was thinking about that as I was shooting some of these images. And I don't have to put them all. So I'll say I want those images. Once they're in, I can actually change which image is the title image. So I can copy that, and I can cut, and I can come up in front and paste. I can also change whether it displays at a large size, original size, or small size. I can change the format just a little bit. Okay, and I'll just put Namaste as my title. I'll go ahead and publish that for the heck of it. Now if I view the blog, there's the standard view, but if I go to a magazine, I'll actually see as it builds content, it will start to fill out this section here. So let me just go ahead and post another one. New blog real quick. We're just going to quickly populate. And I can go back, add images later. So here's a set of my photos actually got published last spring in a magazine related to filmmaking, or the article was about filmmaking. So I'll add that, and I'll take that as the cover image. And I'll go ahead and publish that. So now we can take a look at View Blog and go to Magazine, and you'll see how it takes whatever the most recent one is, right, and throws it in there. So we start adding content. Okay. So now let's go to WordPress.
It still won't let me make a blog.
I will just put Ira Gardner photo. Select. What's that? Yeah, there's free. Great. And I'll do a free blog right there.
Want me to go to the other one then?
All right, it's creating my account. Okay. So I'm going to select a theme. Waiting. First blog post. I'll add media to it. Now I can just, this is drag and drop, so I'm going to go ahead and just use this Minolta image real quick. And I can add a description, right? Photograph of 2 Minolta 35mm rangefinder cameras from the 1960s and 1970s. And I can set the size on here, and I'll go large on that one. And I can just say I've decided to launch a new blog that is strictly focused on my black and white film photography. And I'll publish. What the heck. And that would be the first blog post, right? So WordPress is pretty easy to work with as well. I'll have to go in and confirm my email before it gets published. What I like about WordPress, if I hit add media, it's drag and drop, and I could actually drag a bunch of work all at the same time. So I could actually drag all the photos within a folder, and now they're part of my media library within WordPress, and I can go in and add those to whatever post I want. And then I'll go ahead and deselect these. I'll select them all. Deselect it, deselect. And I'll only select the ones I want, right? So I'll just deselect the ones I don't want. But there's still upload. I've added 144 photos. So that's one of the cool things about WordPress, is that you can do a lot of work at once. How many of us have time to blog every day? I don't, right? So one of the things I want you to think about is work smarter, not harder. I can post a bunch of blogs and save them as drafts and change the release date for a later time. So for example, if I go back to Blogger, if I go to my post, okay, I can actually go ahead and go to Edit and click on Post, and there should be a schedule. I'll schedule it for tomorrow. Okay? And it will upload and publish tomorrow instead of today. So you can schedule post, you can work in blocks of time efficiently. That also reminds me that if you go back to the course, there is a PDF file that I want you all to read, which is called Productivity. And I guess that's part of what I want to get started these first 2 weeks, is developing some habits of productivity. And this is an article put together by the publisher of Lenswork magazine. And if you took a look at Lenswork magazine, this guy, Brooks Jensen, does a tremendous amount of work. He prints a quarterly journal. He publishes a podcast on a weekly basis, and he does videos. He does all these different things. And I hosted him as a keynote speaker for a conference a few years ago. And one of the articles that he's published is this article about keys to productivity. How does he get so much done? And there's some really good tips in there, right? This week and this quarter, we want to focus on how to work smarter, not harder. Schedule our time. All right. Okay, I'm going to turn you loose.